1 Corinthians 1 verse 18, for the word of the cross is folly to those who are perishing, but to us who are being saved it's the power of God. For it is written, I will destroy the wisdom of the wise, and the discernment of the discerning I will thwart. Paul then argues, now where is the one who's wise? Where is the scribe? Where's the debater of the age? Has not God made foolish the wisdom of the world? For since the wisdom of God, the world did not know God through wisdom, it pleased God through the folly of what we preach to save those who believe. For Jews in their cultural formation demand signs, and the Greeks through their cultural formation seek wisdom. But we preach Christ crucified, a stumbling block to Jews and folly to Gentiles. But to those who are called both Jews and Gentiles, Christ is the power of God and the wisdom of God. For the foolishness of God is wiser than men, and the weakness of God is stronger than men. There's an overturning here, a great reversal going on in the way that knowledge, power, wisdom, authority, and foolishness are all perceived. Everybody has a worldview that is generated by all sorts of conditioning, our upbringing, our socio-economic position, our experiences, our good fortune, our bad fortune, our health, the things that we read, or even the things that we don't read. We all have cultural assumptions, and Paul is really bringing great force to the Corinthian situation now and how they perceive the cross, because in Corinthian culture, the cross would have been very, very shameful. And we know that it's shameful. Consider today how Christ, if he is on the cross, as in some churches and traditions, but in Baptist churches, in this church, for example, we have empty crosses because we are emphasizing the resurrection. But where Christ is on the cross, there's normally a little loincloth just covering his midriff. Why? Because the shame and the folly of an exposed, convicted criminal of the Roman Empire is too much for us to even bear. Jürgen Moltmann says that when we think about the cross as folly, he says that we are surrounded by the scandal of the cross with roses, and we too often forget its ugliness and its shame, because the cross seems anti-rational. It conveyed a social stigma, what the Corinthians would have seen as a vulgarity. In the cross, Christ has affirmed nothing and nobodies. And a Corinthian culture was a culture of somebodies and everything. People wanted to get on in Corinth, and if you wanted to get on, you would go to Corinth. That would be the place to do it. And so we see a great reversal. This great act of reversal exposes the limitations of human perceptions and the fallibility of human knowledge. We're not to despise human knowledge, but in the process of gaining knowledge, we must never despise the wisdom of God seen in the folly of a crucified Messiah. So we think about salvation and how the cross of Christ guards us against a triumphalism in our faith. We think about God's power, how the cruciform mind of Christ brings about a reversal about how the world sees power. This suffering servant, this humiliating debacle of a situation. This is the God of the Christian church. And on the cross can never be co-opted as a vehicle for self-promotion and self-affirmation, something the Corinthians so loved to do.